You said that.
Let me ask
You
somebody.
said that.
Somebody who know me for real, right? Who really know me.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what you wanna hear.
I think you heavy. Do you think I'm like from
What she got?
I think she's heavy. I think she's heavy.
The video ain't really the issue. The video being posted up on social media is the issue. If someone would have sent her that video privately, she and I would have had one conversation about it, and it would.
Atlanta thought it was winding down to just another ordinary night, until the internet erupted with a betrayal no one ever imagined. A leaked hotel clip shook the Harris empire to its foundation, showing Clifford T.I. Harris inside a dimly lit luxury suite with none other than Shekinah Anderson, the woman the world once believed was Tiny's ride-or-die best friend. This wasn't street chatter. This wasn't some blurry rumor. This was crystal clear, in-your-face footage that hit TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram like a bomb. Hashtags like #exposed and #justice4tiny trended worldwide, leaving fans shocked, critics furious, and supporters devastated. The footage didn't leave an inch of space for denial. Champagne bottles sparkled across the table, the hotel curtains hanging loose like secrets left uncovered. And there, in the center, T.I. and Shekinah locked in an embrace that tore apart the very legacy he had preached for years. Loyalty, family, respect, gone in the blink of an eye. Fans wasted no time stitching the clip with old interviews of Tiny talking about trust, love, and faithfulness, making the sting cut even deeper. What once floated as harmless gossip had now erupted into a full-blown digital earthquake.
A lot of back and forth, a lot more strains on just what we had going on. Afraid of that, and it did put some strain on our relationship. If you see him, we was about to divorce here and breaking up here.
Crumbling a marriage and turning private heartbreak into public humiliation for the entire world to witness. But Tiny refused to fade into the shadows. Instead of posting cryptic captions or crying behind closed doors, she walked straight into the courtroom with her head held high, pain carved into her face like stone. She filed what's already being called a betrayal lawsuit of the decade, a staggering $50 million case against both T.I. and Shekinah. The accusations? Emotional abuse, public humiliation, and dragging her name through the dirt in front of millions. Reporters couldn't believe the number. $50 million was a price Tiny put on decades of loyalty shattered, her home destroyed, and her heart paraded online for the world to mock. Overnight, the courthouse turned into America's biggest stage, cameras flashing with every word of the charges. But then came the twist no one expected. An anonymous source slipped in what they claimed was Shekinah's private diary. Inside were words sharp enough to cut glass. Clifford promised me he'd leave Tiny. He told me we'd rule the industry together. The line ripped through the courtroom like a blade, sending Tiny into a sobbing breakdown, screaming that they had ruined her life, stolen her family, and crushed her soul. Her cries went viral within minutes. Millions of viewers cried with her as Tiny transformed before the world's eyes, from just a celebrity wife into the tragic queen of betrayal, a symbol of every woman wronged. But T.I. wasn't about to let that narrative crown her. His legal team clapped back, firing a counter-bombshell. The footage was staged, a setup orchestrated, with Shekinah pulling strings for fame and clout. Gasps rattled the courtroom. Was this really the betrayal the world believed, or a sinister plot to trap T.I. and cash in on his downfall? Shekinah snapped back instantly, shouting that T.I. had manipulated her, feeding her false promises of love and a future before leaving her in ruins. In a shocking twist, the two women who once stood as sisters turned sworn enemies, fighting not only for the truth but for dignity, while T.I. sat like a storm's eye in the chaos. Meanwhile, outside the courtroom, the internet turned into a digital coliseum. Shekinah's Instagram was flooded with venom, comments branding her a snake, a family wrecker, and worse. Memes crowned her the villain of a modern-day tragedy, while Tiny's face was painted across murals with captions like "Justice for Tiny" and "The Queen deserves better." Supporters flooded timelines with heartbreak emojis and prayers, while critics dragged T.I. as a man who had burned down his own empire. The darkest moment came when Tiny, leaving the courtroom hand in hand with her daughter, broke down on live camera. "Look what your father did to us. Look how he destroyed our home." That clip alone froze timelines worldwide, a gut punch no PR machine could spin away. And then, just when people thought the case couldn't get any heavier, Tiny's legal team dropped the nuke. Audio recordings allegedly of T's voice whispered chilling words. "Just keep it quiet. Shekinah, Tiny can never know." If this gets out, everything I built is gone. The room erupted. Reporters fumbled to tweet as Tiny buried her face in her hands. Hotel receipts followed, stamped with Shekinah's name tied directly to T's suite. Suddenly, this wasn't rumor. It was documented, signed, sealed betrayal. By day 2, the trial had transformed into a theater of heartbreak. A hard drive of secret recordings was unveiled, each clip tightening the noose. And when T's voice was heard once again repeating that same haunting line, hashtags erupted across the internet. #Empire destroyed. #TinyVSTI. #Shekinah exposed. The betrayal was no longer speculation. It was carved permanently into digital stone. But the revelations didn't stop there. Tiny's lawyers slammed down hotel receipts like thunder. Reservations under T's name with Shekinah listed as a guest. The jury's faces said everything. This wasn't gossip. This wasn't speculation. This was betrayal in black and white, a paper trail tying Clifford Harris to his wife's closest friend. Tiny's attorney turned to the jury and roared, "This is not conjecture. This is proof. Proof that Clifford Harris shattered his wife's trust, humiliated her, and tore their family apart before the entire world." Trembling, Tiny collapsed into her lawyer's arms as the gallery buzzed in disbelief. The defense scrambled to rewrite the story, T's lawyer waving papers claiming the receipts were forged, part of a smear campaign planted by enemies in the music industry. Suddenly, conspiracy theories exploded online. Was this a scandal or an orchestrated takedown of one of hip-hop's biggest names? Then came Shekinah's turn on the stand. Trembling but defiant, she locked eyes with both T.I. and Tiny before confessing, "I never wanted to hurt Tiny. She was my sister. But T.I. promised me everything. He said he'd leave her. He said I was the one." Her voice cracked, tears pouring as the courtroom leaned in on every word. Outside, protesters screamed, "Stand with Tiny," while fans in the gallery hissed "liar" under their breath. Shekinah tried to paint herself as a victim, but sympathy was thin. Tiny's lawyers weren't done. They pulled out screenshots of private DMs allegedly sent by Shekinah to T.I., messages that read like daggers at Tiny's heart. "Cliff, I can't wait until she's out of the picture. It's finally going to be just us." The courtroom erupted. Reporters sprinted outside to blast headlines as timeline froze, flooded with the screenshots. Suddenly Shekinah wasn't just the other woman. She was an active conspirator plotting against her best friend. Through sobs, Tiny turned to the judge and cried, "How much more do I have to see? How much more can a woman take?" That breakdown went viral instantly, called one of the rawest, most heartbreaking moments ever caught on camera. But the avalanche kept coming. A hotel employee stepped forward to testify he had personally seen T.I. and Shekinah checking in together on multiple occasions. His words sent shockwaves through the courtroom. T.I. lost control, slamming his fist on the table and shouting, "They are lying. This is all lies. I'm being set up." The judge threatened contempt charges, and cameras caught every second of his meltdown. That clip alone racked up millions of views overnight with captions like "The Empire crumbles and caught in the act." Outside, chaos reigned. News vans lined the courthouse. Helicopters buzzed overhead. Influencers live-streamed every twist of millions. Protesters waved signs reading "Ban the Betrayers," while murals painted Tiny as a queen rising from ashes. And then came the financial bombshell. An anonymous source leaked bank records showing massive transfers from T's accounts to Shekinah, tens of thousands at a time over 2 years. The implication was explosive. Not only was this an affair, but Shekinah was allegedly being paid off to keep it quiet. Tiny gasped as the numbers hit the projector. The jury's jaws dropped. Shekinah herself broke down, screaming, "It wasn't about money. I loved him. I thought he loved me back." Critics called her meltdown the performance of a lifetime, while fans saw it as a nail in her coffin. By now, Tiny had transformed into more than a betrayed wife. She became the symbol of every broken woman who had stood by the wrong man. Emerging from the courthouse pale but determined, she whispered into cameras, "This isn't just about me. This is about every woman who's ever been lied to, betrayed, and broken. I will fight until the truth is heard." Those words replayed on every major outlet, cementing her as a tragic heroine of this saga. Meanwhile, T.I. sat stone-faced, watching decades of work crumble. Endorsements gone, concerts cancelled, fans chanting outside his mansion. His name now dripped with betrayal instead of respect. Shekinah, once chasing fame, drowned in shame. Her Instagram turned into a battlefield of hate comments and memes mocking her downfall. Tiny, though shattered, stood taller than ever, her pain carried by millions who now viewed her as a queen of heartbreak and resilience. What started as a single leaked video had spiraled into a war of receipts, recordings, betrayals, and tears. The courtroom wasn't just a place for justice. It had become the most explosive stage in America. By the third week, the trial no longer felt like a legal battle. It had morphed into a full-blown Shakespearean tragedy in real time. The silence in the courtroom was suffocating as Tiny, with trembling hands, stared at the two people who had ripped her world apart, her husband T.I. and her once best friend Shekinah. The betrayal wasn't speculation anymore. It was being read aloud in diaries, voicemails, and receipts painting a picture too vivid to deny. And when Shekinah took the microphone again, her shaky voice cut through the silence. Clifford promised me love. He promised me freedom. He told me Tiny was holding him back. The gallery gasped. Tiny collapsed into her lawyer's arms, and the world outside stopped scrolling. This was no longer celebrity gossip. This was heartbreak weaponized and broadcast to millions. Social media exploded again. Hashtags like #TinyBroken and #ExposedForever surging into the stratosphere. Fans recorded themselves crying in reaction videos. Influencers streamed live as they read the diary entries. Memes of T.I. plastered timelines with captions like Empire of Lies and Snake of the South. Shekinah was branded a homewrecker at every turn. Her old clips dragged online as proof of her clout chasing. The internet had chosen sides, and Tiny was their queen. Broken but undefeated, humiliated yet held up as a symbol of every woman betrayed by the man she trusted. But just when the tension couldn't rise higher, Tiny's lawyers unveiled the second leak that shattered whatever defense T.I. had left. A private voicemail from him to Shekinah. His voice, low and desperate, confessed, "I can't let Tiny know. If this gets out, it's over for me. But you're the only one who understands me." The entire courtroom froze. Reporters scrambled to upload the audio. Tiny let out a scream so piercing it silenced the building. "You ruined my family." The internet erupted. The story was no longer a scandal. It was an empire collapsing in real time. "You lied to my children." Tiny's outburst hit every headline, looping endlessly on TV and across social media, solidified a betrayal as one of the most devastating scandals hip-hop has ever witnessed. Outside, Atlanta felt like it was burning. Protesters filled the streets chanting for justice, waving posters that read, "Justice for Tiny" and "Cancel T.I. forever." Shekinah became the internet's villain of the year, mocked with cutouts and chants, dragged as a woman who crossed the ultimate line. The courthouse steps turned into a circus, anchors, podcasters, and YouTubers battling for the spotlight as helicopters hovered overhead and fans live-streamed the downfall of a king in real time. Inside, Tiny's testimony broke hearts across the globe. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "I gave him my youth, my loyalty, my heart, and he traded it all for lies with my so-called best friend." Her words sliced through the courtroom like knives. T.I. tried to fire back, insisting he be manipulated, lured, trapped. But the jury's cold stares made it clear they weren't buying a word of it. Shekinah burst out again, pleading, "He loved me. Don't make me the villain. I only believed his lies." But no one was convinced. To the world, she had crossed the unforgivable line, betraying her best friend for the man who should have been off limits. And then came the final dagger. Tiny's lawyers unveiled diary entries in Shekinah's own handwriting, showing her obsession laid bare. Clifford said we'd rule the industry together. Tiny is nothing compared to what we have. The gallery gasped as Tiny collapsed for a second time, clutching her chest and whispering, "Why me?" Cameras caught every second, replaying it worldwide until it no longer looked like celebrity drama. It became raw tragedy. By the time the judge adjourned, the damage was irreversible. Tiny was carried out, sobbing uncontrollably, while T.I. slumped away with his head down, dodging questions as boos rained over him. Shekinah shoved through a storm of insults, her once loud confidence drowned in shame. The fallout hit like a wrecking ball. Social media flooded with reactions, clips of Tiny's breakdown racking up millions of views, influencers sharing betrayal stories of their own, endless debates about whether T's career could survive. Radio stations debated pulling his music. Boycotts under #CancelTI trended. Endorsement evaporated overnight. And entire tours collapsed. His empire, once untouchable, crumbled brick by brick under the weight of receipts, recordings, and betrayal. Meanwhile, Shekinah's name became synonymous with scandal. Old clips of her reality show resurfaced, turned into endless memes mocking her downfall. And Tiny, though shattered, stood taller than ever, reimagined as a queen of heartbreak, the woman who carried resilience in her brokenness. The saddest moment of all came from a shaky fan video. Tiny, holding her daughter's hand, whispering, "This is why I fought to protect you, to show you no woman deserves this." The clip exploded online, captioned, "A queen broken but never defeated." That moment symbolized it all: betrayal, pain, resilience, and the strength of a woman standing tall even as a world burned. And as the dust settled, the questions hung heavy. Can Tiny ever truly heal? Can T.I. rebuild what's left of his empire, or has his legacy been poisoned beyond repair? And as Shekinah sealed her fate as one of the most hated figures in hip-hop history, this wasn't just a scandal. This was betrayal on the grandest stage, a love story shattered, a friendship turned into knives, and children forced to carry scars they never asked for. We talk about scandals like they're entertainment, but this wasn't entertainment. This was tragedy. A family ripped apart, a courtroom turned into a stage, and millions watching as a queen cried out for justice. History won't remember this as gossip. It will remember it as the day an empire collapsed. So now I'll ask you, do you stand with Tiny? Can T.I. ever rebuild his name? Or has Shekinah destroyed every last shred of trust his family had? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now, because this isn't just drama, it's history unfolding in real time. Don't forget to hit subscribe, like this video, share it, and let's talk about it.